Every episode celebrates original content written by real people who experience real emotions. I'm Rayanne Thorn Krueger. Welcome to Real Words. I'm continuing my ECT Series, which stands for Electric Company Theater, and I've invited several actors that are performing at an upcoming launch of a new production, innovative production called White Rabbit, Red Rabbit. My guest today is Jeff Paul. Jeff, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you here. I want to talk a little bit about the production first. White Rabbit, Red Rabbit. Haven't heard of it? Well, guess what? Neither have I, and neither have the actors. There are no rehearsals. There's no director other than Brian Johnson, who's the co-artistic director at Electric Company Theater, who will be managing the actors once they arrive on set. And a different actor reads the script cold for the first time at each performance. And I'm going to talk briefly now about the playwright, Nassim Soleimanpour. Forbidden to leave his country, he distilled that experience of an entire generation in a wild, utterly original play. White Rabbit, Red Rabbit, Red Rabbit. I cannot say this right. White Rabbit, Red Rabbit is as much about, I can't do it fast, is as much about contemporary Iran as it is about power dynamics in the rest of the world. I'm super happy to have you here, Jeff. You're representing Electric Company Theater, and so I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump right in and talk about this project.
Okay, well, I am a retired theater educator and actor and director and all of the things that come with that. And I've been retired from my full-time job since 2017.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah,
Lucky you.
I'm right. And so since then, I have, I was an adjunct at Long Beach City College. So like every year for the past several years, I'd go and direct a play. Until recently, I sort of said goodbye to that. And now I just look for projects that interest me, that will get me off the couch. And it's nice to be in a place as a theater practitioner where it's not about the money, it's not about trying to get the next gig, it's not about trying to impress anybody, it's just purely for the love and enrichment of the art. So that's really a nice place to be in.
Yeah, I love that, especially that you get to do. I'm actually jealous of all the actors that are doing this project because I think I would really enjoy it. So I want to ask you, why say yes to this? I mean, most actors have several weeks before they meet for rehearsal where
Right.
they get to work on their own lines and kind of build some type of character understanding before they meet with the cast that has been each working on their own lines and their own character. Now, I don't know how you feel, if you're afraid of this or if it feels like something exciting and wonderful. What do you think about all this?
It's leaning more towards the exciting and wonderful. I'm
Good.
not afraid of it.
Great.
No, it's the the genesis of me being involved in the show and the company is that I have seen a couple of performances by the Electric Company Theater, have been really impressive, friends in them, and
Okay.
I know Brian and Callie casually.
Okay.
Callie used to work for me actually at the Orange County School of the Arts. I
Okay.
was her boss for a
Okay.
little while, and I read their season promo, I think online, a while back. And I was taken by the description of White Rabbit, Red Rabbit. I thought, well, they're going to need
Wow.
people. And so I just reached out and said, hey, just in case you need somebody, because I figured I have to get somebody new every night.
Right. Right.
I'm available, I'm willing and able. And so they followed up and said, sure, well, here's your date.
Wow.
It was that easy.
Wow. So the idea of standing backstage or just to the side of the stage, because this will be I believe it will be kind of a theater in the round. You'll be, if I know the,
You know more than I do.
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know anything. I don't know
All
anything.
right.
I just
I
know.
haven't I haven't been inside this
Okay.
particular venue on the grounds. I've
Okay.
been in the outdoor performances.
Okay.
So
Great.
yeah.
So there's an indoor space where they
Mm,
performed once. some of the performances of Fiddler were held in this indoor area because of weather.
Oh, okay. I
And
saw Fiddler
so,
outdoors, by the way.
what's that?
I saw their Fiddler outdoors.
Oh,
It
wasn't it
was
delicious?
phenomenal.
Yes.
That's kind of what made me want to do this.
Yes. I was lucky enough to be in that production. I loved
Oh,
it so
oh, it
much.
was so
And
great.
yeah, it was so powerful. Every night I was verklempt.
Okay, who
Every
did you
night it
play?
was, I played Yenta.
Okay,
I
congratulations.
split the role with Karen. You probably know Karen.
That's who I saw.
That's who
Was
you saw,
Karen.
but I
Yeah.
was on stage still. I was
Okay.
just a
I
townsperson
saw you too
when
then.
you saw me too. You just didn't know it was me.
Right.
So, but it was such a joy to participate in an innovative theater project like that with artistic directors who have this vision that they wrap around their cast. And I feel like they've done that with this. And so I'm excited that this is your first production with
That's my
Electric Company
husband
Theater.
walking by back there.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
He can stop and chat too. What does he think about this? What does he think about all this?
He hasn't said a lot.
Okay.
Um, he hasn't said a lot, which just
Right.
is it's on the calendar. That's
What's been the hardest thing? Because for me it would be not being able to do research.
Yeah, I took that to heart. So when I first proposed that I could be a part of it, I did look it up to see what it
Right.
was, and found out, yeah, it's a pre-established script that's been performed. Probably a little bit the description that you gave in the
Yes.
beginning of this, I probably knew almost that much.
Yep.
And then I said, "Oh, okay, then I'm not going to look at it anymore. I'm not going to find out about it. I'm just going to fly blind." And I do find that exciting. And
Right.
here's I think you asked me, kind of what was why would I
Yeah,
do this?
why? Why?
No rehearsal. So I live in Long Beach, so I don't have to drive to
Okay.
Fullerton a lot.
Just one
Just the
time
one
into
time,
Fullerton. Okay.
and the exp you know the expectation, it feels low risk for me. I feel confident in that I can deliver, as I'm sure all of the other performers feel too, that I can deliver what is needed. So I don't have trepidation about it. Maybe, an hour before I will, but I don't. I'm really kind of looking forward to the experiment. It's such a cool idea, right?
Right, right. Imagine the calories you're going to burn that hour before the performance, right? I
Okay.
can't even fathom it. So are you good at a cold read? Are you
I feel
good
I
at a cold
feel
audition?
I feel like I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I can read pretty well. So
I think
yeah.
it would be so fascinating to watch and just uh I will have the opportunity to see several different actors
Uh-huh.
perform this. And so I'm excited to see
Yeah,
the
that's
different ways that people interpret the script
right.
without any prompting from anybody, right?
That is the part of the puzzle that I am a little sorry that I'm not going to be able to see the others
Well,
because
Jeff, you
I would love that. I would love
yeah,
seeing that.
you perform on Tuesday, March 4th at 7
Right.
p.m. There will be two more performances, or one more
Only one.
closing night
Yeah,
after you. So maybe you'll have to make a trek
I
back.
might. Yeah.
If it really comes off as this amazing piece and you wonder, wow, I wonder how the other actor is going to interpret this. I
Right.
think it's such a great opportunity, especially for someone like you who has had your hand, and I love how you described yourself as a theater practitioner,
Mm.
has had your hand in theater for so many years. And to take this leap of faith in your own experience, in your own ability, and say, I can do this. I think I'm
Y-
going to be pretty good at it even.
The other part of it is it's a fundraiser for this theater.
That's right.
And that I totally believe in that, and it's in a way it's I could write a check, but I think giving of myself, I think counts more. Maybe they would
Right.
like a check too. Who knows?
They probably would
Uh,
like a check too.
but I believe in the company, and so that's part of the reason why I wanted to be a part of
I do too. So it's such an innovative way to showcase a piece of theater. And I really admire what Electric Company Theater has done for so many years. They don't want to do just a same old easy theater piece, right?
No.
Which isn't easy. Most theater is
Right.
very difficult. It
Yeah.
involves so much time, so much thought, so much
Right.
strategy, so much promotion, right? So
But
I love that you're going to do this.
part of being, an actor, and I've directed a lot of educational theater, and then there's local theater as well. But when I see something that is so impressive, or even seeing a performance that's really impressive, but when I see a piece that is conceptualized in such a strong, evocative way, like Fiddler, for example,
Right,
was.
right.
I'm sorry for those of you who didn't see it.
Oh, it was
It
fantastic.
makes me a little, no, I don't know if it's jealousy, but it's like, oh, I'll never be able to come up with something as great as that, So there's an awe in that,
Right.
but there's also a little bit of envy, like, wow, I wish I had that kind of vision, you know.
Right.
And perhaps there's been times when I have, but I don't just, I really, really admire people who have the wherewithal to take the idea and execute it so beautifully. So hopefully this will be, another chapter in that, in
For sure,
their history.
well,
Yeah,
and for you too. I mean, I can't
sure.
imagine the opportunity for you to share with friends and family if they are able to come, but also to
Yeah, I have a few
talk
coming.
about
Yeah,
this for years to come, right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
this experience will be extraordinary.
And it is interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but it is
No,
interesting that people, when the way they react to me doing this, like, "Ugh, are you kidding? Why would you do what?" And it's like, no, 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 no,
no, it's so
no.
much
I
easier.
relish
Less
it.
prep, less prep,
Less prep.
less
Yeah,
prep, right?
yeah.
So, just to talk a bit about Electric Company Theater, they are the resident theater company at the Muckenthaler Cultural
Hmm.
Arts Center in Fullerton, California. And they typically perform 4 to 5 productions a year and are really honing their craft there. And I really admire everything that they've been able to achieve over the last I think 4 or 5 seasons there at the
Hmm.
Muck, and we hope everybody will come out and see it. I'm going to pop up for those that are watching this on video. I'm going to pop up a banner really quickly that shows where you can go get tickets. There's a button if you go to electriccompanytheater.org that says tickets. Just click on that, and you can see where Jeff is performing the evening. I mean, that Jeff is performing, which is Tuesday, March
Tuesday, March 4th,
4th at
7
7
p.m.
p.m. Correct. So I'm going to take a page out of the Smart List podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but
Mhm,
it's hilarious. One thing, Sean Hayes, who's one of the co-hosts on that podcast,
mhm.
is a big theater buff and loves professional theater and has done theater his whole life. Of course, we know him as a great television actor and but he just recently won a Tony not too long ago
Yes, he did. Yeah.
for his performance of Oscar Levant in Goodnight Oscar. So, one thing that he always asks his guests when he discovers that they have done theater is, do you have any crazy, wild theater stories? So, I would love if you
Yeah.
could share like a really wild theater story.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Well, it's kind of theater. Well, it's a good story.
Okay.
So there was as an actor or performer, it's gig life. You just go
Oh,
from
yep.
wherever you can find work. And I was always determined to stay in Southern California, which sort of limited where, that's probably why I diversified and did other things, because just wanted to find the work.
Right.
But I did, like many performers, I worked at Disneyland a couple of times. And it wasn't back in the olden days, before Michael Eisner and before the Disney we know now,
Right.
they struggled to get people in the park, like during this time of year. And you could go there and there would be nobody there. So
Right. I
they they
remember those days.
they did. So I'm talking about like the 80s, like
Hmm.
mid to late 80s. And they did these kind of promotional things. One of them was State Fair days, where for a couple of months they had, I never went to that. They had like farm animals or something around the
Oh my
park.
gosh.
But they also had circus days. And they did this for a couple of years. And it was a couple of months where they would actually String a high wire over Main Street. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was a ringmaster, one of many ringmasters, and I would announce these people while I'm like praying that they're not going to fall. There was no net. There was no net. At the other end of Main Street, they had a trapeze act.
Oh my
They did
gosh.
have a net. They had some kind of spinning weird thing outside of It's a Small World, where people walked on the outside of it as it spun around. If you've seen that
Oh
at the
my
circus,
stars. Yes.
oh, and all these things would just make me crazy, and I'd be standing on this little platform, like,
Don't
losing
fall,
my
don't fall.
balance, and I'm in a green and purple suit. So anyway, the main thing that I worked a lot was called the Globe of Death in Disneyland. It's called the Globe of Death. And it was
Oh
right
my
where all
gosh.
the streets converge, where there's now a statue of Walt, like right in the
Yes, I
middle
know
in the
exactly
hub.
where that is.
It was
Yes.
a big steel cage that motorcycles could get in, right?
Oh,
So this family that didn't speak English, they were circus performers. They were there to do. Not, many of the circus performers were from like Barnum and Bailey and Ringling
okay.
Brothers, and this was their off season. Sorry, I'm
Right.
going on so long,
No, you're
but
great.
okay, setting it up well. So I'm the ringmaster, and I'm announcing this Globe of Death. So I'm walking around on a cement elevated piece just around the globe. So there's no backstage, right? So the first thing that happens is young one of the sons gets in on his motorcycle and brooms around inside this big steel mesh thing. And to get in it, it's it's a circle, and they would have it open like
Uh,
that. He would drive
oh,
the motorcycle, and then someone would pull with a rope and
oh,
latch
wow.
it, and they'd be
Okay.
inside. So he would get in. And then I would do my big spiel, my big announcer voice,
Right.
and the second guy would get in with his motorcycle, and then they would broom around and not run into each other, and it was loud and crazy. And then the lovely Elizabeth, who was their mother, she got in. She basically was in a showgirl outfit with a big feather, and she just stood there in the middle, and then they
Oh my
would, and
stars.
then they would, yeah,
Go all around her.
yeah. So, after a while, I'm getting a little jaded. I've seen it. So it's like, okay, now it's a lovely Elizabeth. And so one night it was the last show, and I'm not really watching them. I'm just dealing with the audience. And now it's time for the lovely Elizabeth, and they open the door. She walks over in, stands in the middle, and they close the door. And then the hundreds of people who were standing around this globe of death, because it was 360, started screaming. Like the crowd started screaming in Disneyland.
Oh
And I turn
no.
around, someone has let go of the steel door before it was all the way, and it hit her on the head, and she's bleeding, and it crumpled in the middle of the globe, right?
Oh
So
my
I'm the guy with
gosh.
the microphone, and to this day, I don't know what I said, but I got people out of there. And she got up on her own. They put a white towel over her head, which was unfortunate because that's where she was bleeding from.
Right, right.
And then huddled her off. And I'm like, good
Wow.
night, everybody.
Good
The
night.
happiest
That's our
place on earth.
show.
And then the next time I worked, a couple days later, she was back. Everything was fine.
Wow.
So happy ending. But it
Somebody got
was
fired.
that,
Somebody
yeah,
got
yeah.
fired.
So I don't know if that's what you were looking for,
Yeah,
but
no,
that's
I
what
love
came
I love that.
that's what came
That's
to mind.
when you don't have full control of every little thing,
Yeah.
something's going to go wrong,
The
right? So,
globe of death.
well, we look forward to seeing you, Jeff, on stage March 4th, Tuesday, March 4th at 7 p.m.
Thank you,
Make
Rayanne.
sure you tell all your friends and share out this podcast with everyone.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you at the Muck with
Okay.
Electric Company Theater's production of White Rabbit, Red Rabbit. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Thank you.